Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Quick little disclaimer before we get into it. I do just want to let you guys know that I was recording and editing this video prior to the release of Season 2 of Rings of Power, but I was not able to get it done in time, obviously. So what you will be seeing is there will be some references to Rings of Power Season 2 within a future tense. I tried to edit those out as much as possible, but either way, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Elven Smiths the world has ever seen. He crafts the Rings of Power, and unfortunately, through deception and war, meets an unfortunate end. And for the first time ever, back in 2022, we saw him portrayed on screen for the first time in live action. This is the elf, Celebrimbor. In today's video, we're going to be doing a comparison between the two versions we have seen of Celebrimbor. The version portrayed by Charles Edwards in The Lord of the Rings of Power, and the version in Tolkien's book, both in the appendices of The Return of the King and in the Silmarillion. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Celebrimbor is a Noldorian elf born sometime in the Year of the Trees in Aman. For those who do not know, the Year of the Trees is prior to the First Age of Middle-earth, and Aman is the region of Arda of which Valinor, or the Undying Lands as they are often known as, rests. The Noldor is a clan of elves that came to Middle-earth to pursue Morgoth in the First Age, but that is a different story for another video. Before we really dive in and talk about the differences between the portrayals of the characters, I want to say that I will not be looking at Celebrimbor in the Shadow of Mordor / Shadow of War series of video games, because those are a completely different style of Celebrimbor and a period of time that we really cannot compare him as a character in an accurate way, because the events unfold differently in those games versus anywhere else, especially considering that the game takes place during the Third Age of Middle-earth, which is long past the time that Celebrimbor had lived and died. For starters, we're going to be looking at Celebrimbor in the books. Celebrimbor is the grandson of Feanor. Feanor is the elven smith who created the Silmarils, these bright jewels that were the most coveted creation in all of Arda. Celebrimbor fought in multiple battles in the First Age: the Dagor Nui and Gileath, the Dagor Aglarab, the Dagor Bragolac, the Battle of Agalon Pass, the Nirnaeth Arnoediad, and in the sack of Nargothrond. After Morgoth was banished to the Void and peace was supposedly fallen upon Middle-earth, Celebrimbor settles in the land of Eregion near the Misty Mountains. He spends a lot of time working with the dwarves of Khazad-dûm. He was known as a friend of the dwarves and worked with them to create the Western Gate of Moria, otherwise known as the Doors of Durin, which we see the Fellowship of the Ring enter in the Third Age. Contrary to his grandfather Feanor, Celebrimbor was a kind and humble soul. Feanor was known to be prideful of all he created, but Celebrimbor was known to have an obsession with crafts that was compared to the dwarves. Through his relationship with the dwarves, he was able to share secrets back and forth with the people of Khazad-dûm, until he was deceived by Sauron under the name Annatar. Annatar deceives the smiths of Eregion and they create the Rings of Power, to which Sauron uses the One Ring to corrupt the dwarvish rings and the Rings of Men. Once Sauron is revealed in Eregion, Celebrimbor crafts the 3 elven Rings of Power in secret, avoiding the corruption of Sauron as he was not involved in the forging of the rings. From there, Sauron marches upon Eregion, destroys it, and kills Celebrimbor. Though Celebrimbor's tale is a short-lived tale in the books, his legacy lives on through thousands of years, all throughout the Second and Third Ages of Middle-earth, as many powerful beings in Middle-earth desire the Rings of Power. So that's really all that we have to talk about for Celebrimbor in the book. They don't really give a lot of information about him, but he's still honestly one of my favorite characters in the entire Tolkien lore. Now, as we transition over to the Rings of Power, there are a lot of similarities between the two characters as far as we know. We can assume that his backstory would be the same during the time of the First Age. What we are going to be focusing on in this section is Celebrimbor in the Second Age during the time that the show is taking place. Celebrimbor in Rings of Power is still the Lord of Eregion. He is still one of the greatest elven smiths to ever live in the world of Middle-earth. One of the big differences between Celebrimbor in the books and in Rings of Power is in the Rings of Power he does not have the same level of friendship with the dwarves as he does in the books. This friendship is instead given to Elrond in the show. Celebrimbor still lives near Khazad-dûm but never spends time with them like we read about in the books. Another big difference, and this is easily the biggest change that they have made to his character in the show, is his attitude towards his craftsmanship. As we mentioned before, in the books, Celebrimbor is a very humble craftsman. He very much enjoyed his craftsmanship and enjoyed everything that he did. In the Rings of Power, he has a lot of joy towards craftsmanship, but his motivations are very different. He is much more focused on wanting to create something on the same level of his grandfather Feanor, and that's what leads him to create the tower in Eregion and then inevitably be manipulated by Sauron to forge the Rings of Power, which is currently unfolding in Season 2. Now, there are a lot of things that we can't really dive into due to the limited info about the character, and him not having a full-blown story that gets novelized like the other characters within Tolkien's universe. Personally, I think this is something where they could have done a little bit more towards the book accuracy within the show. While I love the dynamic between Elrond and Durin, I think it would have been really interesting to see Celebrimbor diving into his friendship with the dwarves and build his character a little bit more. I do, however, have to give a lot of props to Charles Edwards and the performances that he has been given with the character that is written. There has been a lot of strength that he has been showing within his acting, as well as we're seeing his character get fleshed out significantly more throughout Season 2 of the show, and I'm really excited to see where the show is going to continue to be pushing his character. Now, unfortunately, like I said, there's not really a lot of information about Celebrimbor, so that's really all that we can cover in today's video. Celebrimbor, in terms of personality and how his character was designed, do have a lot of similarities, but like I said, there are also a lot of stark differences between Celebrimbor in the show and Celebrimbor in the book. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe that Celebrimbor is done well in the Rings of Power, or do you prefer the book version of him and how he is portrayed there? Now, I do want to say thank you guys for watching. I do plan on doing more of these comparisons in the future, and I'm hoping to start kind of pushing out about one video a month. I don't know exactly how well that is going to be going, because my life is currently really, really crazy, and I keep trying to do a lot. But either way, I hope you guys appreciated this video. I've been loving to see the positive reaction to my Sauron video that I posted prior to the Rings of Power Season 2 releasing, and I do plan on giving my full thoughts on Season 2 when I do finish up and everything gets all said and done. Anyways, thank you guys again for watching, and we will see you next time. May the grace of the Valar go with you.